everyone. Welcome to the Week 8 video lesson. In this week's video lesson, we will be covering evaluating arguments within informational text. We hope that you found last week's video useful. If you have any questions or would like more practice, please reach out to any of your teachers. Let's jump into this week's lesson. So for this week's Do Now, I want you to create a graphic organizer for an informational text. To create a graphic organizer, I want you to come up with at least 5 questions that you think are essential to understanding the key points of a text. Here is an example. A question that could be included on a graphic organizer might be, what is the main idea? For the Do Now, come up with at least 5 questions that would help someone better understand an informational text. Have you completed the Do Now? If so, you're ready for the next step. Let's talk about some of the questions you could have included in your graphic organizer. One of the questions that you could have included is, how is the main idea developed? Another question you could have included is, what is the argument? Or, what evidence is used to support the argument? Another question you could have used is, what is the author's perspective? Answering each of these questions would allow someone to evaluate or better understand an informational text. For this week's video lesson, I want to start with a review of an important topic that we talked about in last week's video. Do you remember PAIR? PAIR stands for pause, evaluate, anticipate, and reassess. If you do not remember this topic, this is an opportunity to go back to the Week 7 video and review. But it's an important topic that I'm bringing up again because when we read a nonfiction text, we should read actively by annotating and questioning the text. We should also determine the meaning of difficult words in the text, and we can do so by reading for context or looking up words that we don't understand. Working through each of the steps of PAIR as we read ensures that we read actively and are engaged with the text and therefore get the most meaning out of the text. So we see that when we're reading informational text for understanding, we're doing more than just setting our eyes on each word of the text. To understand the text, we start with looking at where a text comes from, who the author is, what their purpose in writing may be, and who their intended audience may be. We apply skills we learned as strong writers to become strong readers. We can skim and scan an article for information before reading the article in its entirety. Looking also for an article's main idea and arguments. Once we've done this, we can better evaluate arguments we've identified in a full read-through. When it comes to evaluating arguments, we can once again apply what we've learned as writers, that is, by asking some questions. Are the arguments put forward in a text supported in some way? In what way are they supported? Does the author cite their sources? Are the sources what the author cites reliable? Is there consideration for the other side of the argument? And finally, is the author fair in their consideration of other perspectives? Let's practice active reading by skimming, scanning, annotating, and evaluating arguments by looking at this week's reading assignment, California and Mesopotamia, Similarities and Differences. Take a minute now to make use of your graphic organizer by looking at the article and doing some pre-reading work. In particular, you should identify the article's main idea or main argument. Okay, what is the article's main idea? Are there multiple arguments made or just the main one? And what evidence does the author use to support their argument? Take a minute now to look at the article and answer the above questions in writing. All right, now let's evaluate the argument. In other words, we'll see how the author did to persuade us of their idea. One useful way to evaluate the information in a given text is to step back and consider what the text does not include. What are some arguments or evidence that the author specifically does not include in their text? Take a few minutes to write down your observations. Another useful way to evaluate a text argument is to make a reverse outline of the text. Just as you would write an outline of an essay before writing it, you can look at each paragraph of an informational text and create an outline based on what each paragraph accomplishes. In your reverse outline, make sure that you note the main idea, which might be a topic sentence for each paragraph, along with evidence given in each paragraph. Your reverse outline does not need to include complete sentences. Pause this video here and complete your reverse outline for the article. Now, based on your reverse outline, evaluate the main argument of the text. Is the support used by the author in the text appropriate to the main idea? Is it persuasive? Does it take other perspectives into account? Based on the information presented in the text, rewrite the main idea to more specifically or appropriately match the information in the text. Congratulations on completing this week's video lesson. Visit the Google Classroom for more practice. Reach out with any questions. Congratulations on completing the final Humanities video lesson of the term. Enjoy a well-earned break.